On March 6, 1475, Renaissance artist Michelangelo is born. But how did Michelangelo learn his craft? And how was his method of sculpting different from everyone else's? Michelangelo Buonarroti was born in the small Italian village of Caprese and grew up in Florence, the birthplace of the Renaissance. He was discovered by Lorenzo de' Medici, a renowned political leader and patron of the arts. At age 15, Michelangelo moved into the Medici palace, where he trained with sculptor Bertoldo di Giovanni and studied the Medici art collection, which contained works by the versatile Leonardo da Vinci, the ethereal Sandro Botticelli, the emotionally expressive Fra Filippo Lippi, along with classical marbles like the Venus de' Medici. Today, Florence's famed Uffizi Gallery is made up of artwork from the Medici collection and is housed in what were once the family's administrative offices. The collection was gifted to the city of Florence by the last Medici heir, Anna Maria Luisa de' Medici, in 1737. After his early training in Florence, Michelangelo then traveled to Rome, where a cardinal commissioned him to create his Pietà from a single block of marble, beginning in 1498, when he was just 23 years old. The young sculptor's work wowed the public and led to a commission back in Florence to sculpt the biblical figure David from a massive block of Carrara marble that earlier sculptors thought unusable. The completed 17-foot-tall work is an icon of the Renaissance. The sheer scale of David is astounding. Michelangelo's genius transcended sculpture, as he also created iconic paintings, like the frescoes in the Sistine Chapel, both on its now famous ceiling and on the altar wall, where his Last Judgment is found. Michelangelo also became a brilliant architect, creating the iconic dome of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. It is unfathomable that someone could create such iconic works in three such disparate mediums. There are art historians who consider Michelangelo the greatest in all three of those mediums. For me, he is without question one of the 2 or 3 greatest sculptors in history. I would rank him very highly in painting and in architecture as well. Oh, and also, Michelangelo just happened to be a talented poet to boot. Sculpture, however, is where he shines brightest. Seeing his works in person, especially his sculptures, feels like witnessing the divine. Mrs. Lewis and I visited Italy in 2024 and saw some of the great works of Michelangelo, from David to the dome of St. Peter's Basilica to the Sistine Chapel. It was a profound experience. Sadly, the Pietà was undergoing restoration work to prepare for the 2025 Jubilee year in Rome, so we were unable to see what is my favorite of his sculptures on that trip. I guess it's an excuse for us to go back someday. We threw our coins in the Trevi fountain, so it's bound to happen. Perhaps the most revealing of his works are his prigionieri, which are located in the same Florence gallery as David. These unfinished marbles show the genius of Michelangelo, who carved sculpture unlike anyone before or since. Instead of working his way around a block of marble, chipping off pieces here and there to make it take form, he would start at the front and work through the block of stone. He claimed that he could see the figure trapped in the rock and that he was simply liberating it. The prigionieri, which means prisoners, seemed to be literally bursting from the marble. For me, American internet pioneer Vinton Cerf said it best. I'm not an art historian or even anyone qualified to judge art, but I can tell you that walking around in St. Peter's Basilica and looking at the Pietà was one of the most moving experiences I've ever had, because Michelangelo managed to pull humanity out of cold marble. It's so hard to imagine that anyone has such a gift to create life from cold stone. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1820, U.S. President Monroe signs the Missouri Compromise, attempting to equalize slave and free states. In 1857, the U.S. Supreme Court's Dred Scott decision proclaims that blacks are not citizens. In 1899, German company Bayer patents aspirin, one of the most important medications in history. In 1951, the trial of the Rosenbergs, Americans accused of spying for the Soviets, begins in New York. In 2001, the file-sharing service Napster begins shutting down amid a multitude of lawsuits. In 2020, competitive eater Joey Chestnut breaks the world record by eating 32 Big Macs in 38 minutes. In 2023, garbage workers in France begin a weeks-long strike, causing trash to pile up in French cities. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. Which piano-playing U.S. president accompanied singer Pearl Bailey in an impromptu performance at a White House dinner? Richard Nixon? Jimmy Carter? George H.W. Bush? Or Bill Clinton? Liked learning about Michelangelo? Then you'll love this one about when the Mona Lisa was stolen from the Louvre. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.